Yes, Geordies, hope everyone's well and welcome back to another episode. In this episode, we're going to be talking about our youth stars that are lighting up the summer. We're going to be talking about Anthony Gordon because there's more news come out today. We're going to be talking about Joao Pedro because apparently he is the chosen one. So we're going to be breaking it all down, but first I want to talk about me because I am injured. I'm dying. Me back. I've done me back in at the gym, and every time I breathe, every time I talk, it feels like somebody's digging us in the back. So if you've got any advice on how to fix it, please let us know, because I'm walking around like I'm 80 years old. Honestly, I'm in so much pain. But we are going to talk about our stars of the summer because Antonio Cordero put in a man-of-the-match performance for Spain under-19s yesterday. And really, he was a shining light for them and definitely man-of-the-match in the game because he scored the first goal, he assisted the second goal, and he played a huge part in the third goal as Spain under-19s go through to the semi-finals. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I've got a little sneaky feeling about this guy is going to be a good signing. Reminds us of the Fabian Schär signing because we've signed Fabian Schär from Deportivo La Coruña, I believe it was, for like £3 million. And he's turned out to be an absolute colossus for us. So hopefully Antonio Cordero will do the same because his performance yesterday was exactly what Eddie Howe likes. Somebody that is direct, can score goals, can create goals in possession, but works hard out of possession. His man-of-the-match performance yesterday, he scored one goal, he assisted another goal, he had two key passes, created one big chance, 2 out of 2 long balls completed, 2 out of 3 successful dribbles, 3 out of 8 crosses completed. He won 8 out of 9 of his ground duels, won all of his aerial duels, even though he only had 1. He made 2 tackles, 3 clearances. Brilliant performance from the guy. So what I'm here to say, who needs Alexander Isak? Who needs Anthony Gordon? Who needs Bruno? Who needs Jacob Murphy? Who needs Harvey Barnes when you've got Antonio Cordero and William Asula? Because they have both been absolutely thriving in youth international football this summer. He's played 91 minutes. He scored 3 goals, provided 1 assist, changed the game against Ukraine when he come on, scored a brace against the Netherlands to inspire a comeback victory. They're both absolutely thriving at the minutes. Now, Antonio Cordero is an interesting one because when we first signed him, we announced that we're going to loan him out. Now, I've tried to get in touch with my guy that works at Ajax, and I said, look, is the loan happening? He replied with, I don't know yet. Well, that bloody helps, doesn't it? I'm trying to feed you some insight and I'm getting nothing myself. So once I hear anything, whether it's true or not, I will let you know. But I did try and they just said, I don't know yet. So I've got a feeling he will go out on loan. And I mean, I think he should go out on loan because our left wing is sorted. We're going to be touching on this later on. We've got Anthony Gordon. We've got Harvey Barnes. And if he's not going to be playing regularly, it's best to get him regular minutes elsewhere. Now, the reason I say that, you're probably thinking, well, Phil Foden didn't go out on loan. The reason I say that is because the different types of players. Phil Foden is more of a system player under Pep Guardiola, so he kept him at the club so he could learn the system, whereas Eddie Howe allows these forwards to be more expressive, so he can go and get that consistency and that repetition and learning the game a bit better if he's playing minutes and developing that way. Now, he's not only been thriving on youth international football. Last season, he was brilliant for Malaga as well. 39 games, he started 23 of them, 6 goals, 6 assists, and he created 10 big chances throughout the season. I keep on hearing that we're going to sell him just like we did with Minter. Why are we so negative a fan base? Why do we always think the worst? We're signing him on a free. We're not going to sell him this summer because we're in a better position. We didn't want to sell Minter at that time, but we had to sell Minter at that time. Otherwise, we wouldn't comply with PSR rules. So it's not about wanting just to bring in players in, to sell them. We sell them when we need to sell them. And we don't need to sell this summer. So as a fan base, let's just embrace the signing. And I think Ajax would be a good move for him because he spent last season in the 2nd division of Spanish football. Ajax is a step up in competition. He's going to be getting European football as well. Now, I believe, this is just me thinking off the top of my head, the low move is probably down to game time because Ajax have got a lot of wingers coming through at the minute. They had Mika Götze that was on loan last season that had a wonderful loan spell. So they're excited for his return. He plays as a left winger. So I'm probably sitting there thinking, is Ajax the best destination for Antonio Cordero? If Ajax agree to play him and play him regularly, then yes. But if they don't agree with that and say that he's going to rotate with Mika Götze and whoever's playing better at the time will get the opportunity, maybe look elsewhere. Maybe PSV, Feyenoord, somebody like that where he will be playing European football and still getting game time in a good league. Now, it's good to see the youngsters doing well because the future is bright. Don't forget, Anthony Gordon won Player of the Tournament, as well as winning the tournament with England under 21s last season. Now, William Osula is probably being Player of the Tournament despite only playing 91 minutes, and Antonio Cordero is absolutely thriving in a Spanish shirt. So the future is bright for Newcastle United. And speaking about the future being bright, Newcastle set to open talks with Brighton over 60 million Joao Pedro transfer as Eddie Howe targets first summer signing. Then it goes on to say Toon have also shortlisted former Man United ace, meaning Anthony Elanga. Now, I've already given you my opinion on Joao Pedro, and I've already done a scout report on him and also a tactical report. So if you want to go and watch them, I will link them at the end. But look, I like Joao Pedro. Unbelievable talent, great technician, and he's got a very high ceiling. Now, even Troy Deeney is back in this transfer. Take that for what you want and what you will, because he does talk a lot of gobbledygook all the time. But even he was saying that Joao Pedro has a high ceiling. You speak to Brighton fans, and they always speak high praise of Joao Pedro. He's a terrific footballer. He will offer us something different. Tactically, we can keep that 4-3-3 system and he can play in that. He allows us tactical flexibility where we can change to a 5-3-2. We can pair Alexander Isak up front, or we can even play 4-2-3-1 if we wanted, and him just behind Alexander Isak. Or even we can go back to the Mike Bassett era and play a 4-4-2. And I think this is why Eddie Howe is hot on this transfer, because he wants that tactical flexibility. At the minute, we're stuck to either a 4-3-3 or a 5-3-2 because that complements our players. Bringing in somebody like Joao Pedro gives them that tactical flexibility. So if we are in a game and we do need to change things around, Joao Pedro offers us that. Now, I've given you my thoughts. I like this signing. 60 million does sound like a lot of money. But if you look at the transfers now, Brighton have just signed a young Greek international that's only had half a season with Olympiacos, and they've signed him for nearly 38 million. So when you're looking at Joao Pedro that comes with experience, then that's probably where we are with transfers now. You've got Hugo Ekitike that's never played in the Premier League, and Eintracht won 85 million for him. So you're probably sitting there thinking Ekitiki's a very, very talented player. 85 million for Ekitike that's never played in the Premier League. He might not settle to the English culture. Or Joao Pedro, who we know has played in the Premier League, understands the English culture, so he's got a higher chance of settling in the environment better. 60 million doesn't, I don't know, man. I would have said personally about 40 to 50 million for Joao Pedro is fair. But look, if they want 60 million and Eddie Howe's willing to pay it, then you've got to back the guy. You've got to think Eddie Howe has been running after these transfers for a while. He nearly joined Newcastle United before he went to Brighton for 30 million. You look at all the players we're linked with. These are players that we've been linked with in the past. Anthony Elanga we've been linked with in the past. James Trafford, Mark Gahey. All the possible signings are all players that Eddie Howe has chased for a long time now. Now, it could be a smokescreen. You never know. It could be one of those deals where we'll look like we're going for Joao Pedro, feeding that into the media, feeding that into the agents, and then bang, we'll sign somebody from Germany, Italy, or Spain, and it's just one of those signings that come out of nowhere. I love those signings. Just like Antonio Cordero, kind of come out of nowhere. We'll sign him on a free transfer. I know there was a lot of build-up, but when he first got linked, came out of nowhere. So I like those signings, and I wouldn't mind it, but I also wouldn't mind Joao Pedro. Now, I do think if we're bringing Joao Pedro, we've got to bring in more. And looking at our squad, I really do think it's too top-heavy in terms of age. Because if you look at our age profile now, in comparison to the Premier League, we've got the fourth oldest average age squad in the Premier League. Now, for me personally, we've got to be looking to bring that down, because even if you look at our depth chart, it is quite not good reading, because we've only got 4 players aged between 18 and 23. That's your youth players. And then at the peak, I actually think we're very comfortable, very nice. You want players coming into their peak as you're building squads. Anthony Gordon, Joe Willock, probably going to leave this summer. Alexander Isak, Sven Botman, Sandro Tonali, Sean Longstaff will probably leave this summer. Harvey Barnes, Bruno Joelinton, all within their peak years. Now, when we got to the aging side, this is where it's concerning, because a lot of our defenders are aging. You've got Kraft, who's 30 plus, Jacob Murphy 30, Jamal Lascelles 30 plus, Callum Wilson should leave this summer, in my opinion. Dan Burns 33, Fabian Schär's 33, Nick Pope's 33, Trippier's 34. I could go on and on. So we'd need to bring that age limit down. Now, the best time to integrate youth into a team is when you've got a settled environment, when you've got your spine of your team sorted. That is the best time to bring your youth in. You look at Anthony Gordon, you look at Alexander Isak, Sven Botman, Sandro Tonali, Bruno Joelinton. They are all the spine of our team. So I wouldn't mind bringing in the likes of Osula now, bringing in Lewis Miley now, because you bring them in when you've got your cushion. So you've got your puzzle, and then these are just little additions to the puzzle, and that's when you do it, and that's when 9 times out of 10 when it works. Now, just on the topic, it looks like Callum Wilson's contract ends in 2 weeks. Now, we've entered talks. Now, apparently, I don't know how true this is. We're trying to get him on a pay-as-you-play deal. Now, what that will mean is he will get a salary, but it'll not be as high as what he's getting. When he does feature, that's when he'll get the added-on bonuses. So it's not like he just gets nothing every week. He will get something. It'll be probably quarter of what he's getting now, but when he plays, he's going to get appearance fees, etc. So that's the talk. And for me, if I'm Callum Wilson, getting a deal like that, I'd be like, right, I've only got a couple of years left. Let's go away where I can get solid money, not on a pay-as-you-play deal, and just enjoy football. The reason I would like to say that is because I feel William Masula needs to be playing football, whether that be for Newcastle United or out on loan, because I've said this before, if he's going to be back up to Callum Wilson, we may as well send him out on loan because he's better than Callum Wilson. He offers us a lot more in terms of the game, impact in the game. And that's why I feel like if he's not going to get game time, he's better off developing, because we don't want what happened with Lewis Miley. Lewis Miley played Champions League football. Now, this season, we've stunted his growth. We've set him back another year. He should have had and got a lot more minutes. I don't want the same to happen to William Masula. But getting on to signings, now, I wasn't going to talk about the signing because I didn't think it was going to happen. So Liverpool are working on a 100 million move for Newcastle's Anthony Gordon. Now, I didn't want to talk about it because I read this and I thought, that's not going to happen. But then I got diving a little bit deeper, and every single outlet is starting to talk about it. Now, I don't think it's going to happen, but I do think it will happen eventually. Anthony Gordon is an important player for us, a massive, massive player. It's been suggested that if Luis Diaz leaves Liverpool, who's wanted by Barca, they'll come in for Anthony Gordon. Now, Newcastle are in a strong position here because Anthony Gordon signed an agreement, a new contract just 1 year ago, and it expires on June 30th, 2028. So we're actually in a healthy position when it comes to this. So unless a gentleman's agreement was agreed, should Liverpool come in, then Newcastle wouldn't stand his way. We're in a very, very good position. Now, I don't know if that happened, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did, because links to Liverpool have happened for a couple of years now. So I wouldn't be surprised Anthony Gordon saying, look, I'll sign a new deal so you get more money for me, but if Liverpool come in, you allow us to speak to them. A lot of that goes on in football. A lot of gentlemen's agreements go on in football. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen, because you've got to think he's a Liverpool fan. He's not a Newcastle fan. That's like me saying to you, you're playing for Leicester City and Newcastle United are rumoured to be interested in you. You're going to want to go. That's just like Anthony Gordon's in the same position. Now, I think he really likes being in Newcastle. I think he really likes playing for Newcastle. But I do think if Liverpool come in, that's the one team where he would say, I want to go. But Liverpool haven't come in yet. That's not what I'm saying. But I do think he will leave in the next year or two. And that's me being perfectly honest. Now, I don't think it'll be this summer, because how can Liverpool afford it? We're demanding close to 100 million. And I think we've got every right to, considering his contract length and the importance he is to us. Now, Liverpool have signed Frimpong. They've signed Florian Wirtz. They're going to sign Kirkes. So where are they getting this money from? And Anthony Gordon has played a huge role in us getting into Champions League and being where we are now. 106 games, 22 goals, 23 assists is a great return. But it doesn't just stop with Liverpool, because there is rumours from David Ornstein. Arsenal have also shortlisted Anthony Gordon. Arsenal, if you can't beat them, just sign them, right? Now, it doesn't necessarily mean the move will happen, but there is discussions. Now, I'm not surprised, because he's a talented boy. He's 24, coming into his prime. He's done it in the Premier League. He's an England international. He won player of the tournament at the under-21s for England. He's a very, very talented footballer. And if you are looking for a left winger and you have got a budget, Anthony Gordon should definitely be on that shortlist, because he's a talented footballer. Now, do I think he would leave Newcastle to go to Arsenal? That's a different story. I don't think he would, to be honest. Well, he might, but I think he's happy in Newcastle. He's comfortable in Newcastle. And I think the only team he would actually leave for right now is Liverpool, but I just can't see Liverpool going in for him. So I actually want Anthony Gordon to stay. I think he's a talented footballer. He brings a lot to our team and he fits our system. He's had a poor end to last season, but that doesn't define him as a footballer. We've proven we can recruit well with Bruno, Isak, Botman, Tonali, Harvey Barnes, the list goes on. So if, and it's a big if, Anthony Gordon does leave, let's make a statement signing. Whether that be somebody like Xavi Simons off the top of my head. Let's go out and make a statement signing. Now, 100 million could help us strengthen multiple areas. And this is what I want to see from Newcastle. The best team strengthen in a position of strength. And I think this is what Newcastle United need to do. We need our depth and strengthen our position of strength. So depth in midfield, depth as a striker, depth at centre backs. That's what we should be looking to do. And 100 million can go a long way to doing that. Think of when Liverpool sold Coutinho, the Bo Van Dijk, the Bo Mane, the Bo Salah, and I'm not saying Newcastle are going to do that because we're shopping in a different window. They shop at Waitrose. We're shopping in probably Sainsbury's at the minute, but we will eventually get there. And if we can add to our squad, bring in more depth, it's just going to help us in all competitions throughout the season. So can we bring in a 40 million winger and a 40 million midfielder, or a 50 million midfielder and a 40 million winger? So we could use that money very wisely. Now, I want to say again, I do not want to sell Anthony Gordon, but 100 million, let's sit down at the table. Let's have that discussion, because 100 million, that's a lot of money. That is a lot of money. But I want to hear your thoughts, guys. What do you make of Antonio Cordero and William Masula at the Youth Internationals? What do you make of the signing of Joao Pedro? What do you make of Liverpool and Arsenal hovering around Anthony Gordon, even though I don't think a signing will happen? I don't think he'll leave the club this summer, and I want to make that point clear. Personally, I don't think he will, but I want to hear your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the below. And if you've enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I'm sorry if I kept on losing breath. My back was absolutely giving us agony. But let me know your thoughts in the below, and until next time, away the lads.